We're with Reis Dixon, a very good friend of mine,
Yes.
songwriter, composer, piano teacher. Well, it's nice to see you.
Yes, pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we just wanted to ask you a few questions on how you came. What was the driving force behind you playing the piano initially?
Okay, initially, so it was more of a spontaneous moment. So when I was at school, when I was around about 16 years of age, I had a small keyboard, not just sort of like this that we've got here, in the house, but it was never used, and just ended up fiddling around with music that I knew, like Tupac, Changes, some Coldplay, and would just learn stuff by ear.
So who bought the piano? Your mom?
It must have been my mum. It must have been. It was always there. I just don't remember it not being there. But it was only a small thing at the time, and then I just found it came really naturally to me. And of course, then I went on to take music as a course in year 11 at school. Okay. And the teacher then kind of guided me a little bit. Tom Spears, his name was, very helpful, and guided me into more of a classical genre and just more knowledge of what the piano was. And
because a lot of people who play the piano tend to just play by ear and just do it for self-enjoyment. But so you took it really serious from day one.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people don't have any options but to learn it by ear. Nobody can really sight read music from day one. So the only option is to figure out yourself what it's playing, and then just try and learn it. I think a lot of people would have to go through that same boat, but a lot of people were saying to me, "Oh, you've took this really well. You're really getting the grasp of it." And for me, it's more of a second nature. I didn't really know what.
It was natural.
Yeah, the compliments were coming in, but I couldn't really take them on board because I was just like, well, surely everyone can do what I'm doing. So there was two driving forces for me taking piano up. So as we just says, age 16 is when I first started to play, and then I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I didn't know what the plan was. I didn't know that I'd be here today. I didn't know that I'd want to do this as a career. And then age 17, a year later, my older brother passed away, and that was kind of a driving factor. And learning that I had to live now for the both of us, and that really spurred me and encouraged me to kind of go full throttle. And then another phase of me going through it was my first recital at the Birmingham Town Hall when I was probably 17, 18. And then hearing the reaction from the audience that day was and that just kind of, solidified that this is what I want to do. I want to hear that reaction. I want to get that feeling from
I can imagine
playing.
When you said your brother passed. Yeah. That must have been a very traumatic and emotional time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Right. So you used the piano as solace.
Yes, I did. Yeah. That was my kind of ocean of tranquility that I could reform back to, because
it was devastating.
You couldn't really talk. That was my outlet. That was my output. Like if I wanted to talk, I'd do it through my music, and I still do that to this day. So that was, I was grateful to have. So this is how inapt I was to music. I didn't know what the Birmingham Conservatoire was, and I tried to get into Birmingham universities because my brother was in his final year of university, so I wanted to follow in his footsteps. He was doing a drama course, but I wanted to follow in his footsteps and finish kind of what he had started, so just go to uni and do a music course. I applied to Birmingham universities, but they just wouldn't take me because I didn't have grade 8, which is what most universities wanted. I managed to get grade 6 within such a short time.
So your brother was a sharp guy.
Yeah. So Birmingham just kind of didn't take a look at me. Third option was go to Leeds University. They wanted grade 8 piano as well. They accepted me after hearing me, but they couldn't have intake of students for the year, so I ended up going to Coventry University in the end, doing 3 years there. So at this university course, I did a performance course. 3 years, learned so much because I didn't really know much about classical repertoire, and I was thrown in at the deep end. And then when I graduated university, I knew that I wanted to come back to composing music. So from late 2013, I started focusing on composing my first album, which was Words Unspoken, and that was inevitably a dedication to my brother. It wasn't never meant to be a public album. It was just meant to be for me and, you know, my mum and my dad. And then as the stages got later on, people was like, why are you not releasing it? And then it just made sense, you know, I had to then release the album. So we did that in 2016.
So that album was dedicated to you?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Okay, so after that album, you decided, okay, I could take this as a serious career.
Yeah.
So you started composing then?
Yeah.
And after you composed, because it's gonna lead us to the new album that you've given it to me, and I can't stop listening to it. As a matter of fact,
Thank you very much.
in the car, and everywhere I go, everyone here says that it's beautiful, melodious,
That's
everything.
incredible.
So we want to compliment you on that.
I appreciate that.
For what you've endured.
Thank you very much.
So this new album, what made you think that, okay, who's your idol in class?
My idol is Ludovico Einaudi, as you're well aware.
Yeah.
So the same music teacher in secondary school, he gave me a CD of his music, and that's when this world of classical repertoire opened up, because I was just still playing like Mario, Let Me Love You, and Rihanna and Faithful on the piano. So Einaudi kind of just broadened my horizon, and you know, I've got to meet the man himself and thank him.
You did say.
And just be, you know, just have a quick talk with him and just say, you know, thank you. I was, because it was actually a dedicated kind of one-on-one, whereas before I've seen him for signings afterwards, but this was kind of a moment where backstage it was like you're gonna meet him. And people.
So how did you get backstage?
Through some of the managers at Symphony Hall where I was working part-time. And
so you plotted your way, man.
Yeah, but
your way very.
It was really kind of, people say don't meet your idols, don't they, in case they're not what you think, but it's just as I imagine, just humble. He's Italian, his English wasn't that great, but it was just beautiful to say thank you and just get this weight off my chest that, you know.
And how did he respond to you?
Yeah, it was. He took it on board, but I imagine he gets it a lot. I imagine he gets it so often that it's just second nature to be like. But you know, you could see. You know, I couldn't really care what he said. It was just the fact that I was able to just say, look, if it wasn't for you, I would not be doing what I'm doing, and I just wanted, you know, from all the bottom of my heart to thank you, and now, like, you know, I'm doing my career. I gave him a CD at the time. Here's my first album. Never heard anything back, but
still. But what about like Beethoven and these guys?
Yeah, so going into traditional classical, it's got to be Chopin for me.
Chopin.
Frédéric Chopin, Claude Debussy, Franz Liszt even. Played some of them throughout university, and I still love to go through that every now and then. It's beautiful to play, beautiful music. So Awake to Dream is the album name. And it was a concept that started because Awake to Dream is a double entendre. It has a double meaning to it because you can't really be awake. Well, this is the concept of it. So the concept started with being, because we dream while we sleep, don't we? We dream at night time. We dream while we're sleeping. The concept was to be truly awake and truly woken up inside spiritually, mentally, to chase your dreams in life, to literally go full throttle. So in order to live that dream while you're awake. And that's where the finality of the album name came from.
That's incredible. But
then as the project went on, the something happened in my life where a relationship spanning more than 10 years kind of was gone in a blink of an eye, and that took, as you can see by some of the title. With this album, I created all the artwork myself. Well, it was through an artist, Mark Greaves. I put it all together, but his artwork, I'm so thankful that he's another icon of mine. I've got a piece of art hanging at my house called Sonata, and it's all these figures on pianos. And so I put all this together, and then this is signed to a label called Blue Spiral Records, Italian label. So together we're going to release this, and then it's going to be promoted for America in October and November. Also in secondary school, there was a head teacher who was head of 3 different schools. Sir Dexter Hutt, his name was, so he's been knighted by the Queen. Amazing guy. And he had this conversation with me one day, just about perseverance. Like, this was when I first started playing. And he said to me, you know, people that want to reach success have got this hill to climb, and then people think that they've reached the success and just stop and just live comfortably. But it's the people that keep on going and just never stop that you know, will reap the rewards. And that conversation, you know, has always stuck with me, and that was like 10 years ago.
And whenever you get any obstacle, you just...
So I just keep going, yeah. But that was like an inspirational talk that came out of nowhere, and you know, we still stay in touch, me and this teacher, so I'm really thankful that...
You still saying something?
Yeah, he'll be getting, he hasn't got one yet, but he'll be getting one as soon as...
So Reis, what we really want to say is, from looking at the album, and listening to the album, and seeing the title, and linking it to your stories, in the future now, how do you see this album?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. So, because this was the album that was meant to be public. So it's my second album. It's got to be a milestone ahead of my first album. So promotion, it's going to be promoted quite heavily, and I'm just hoping people receive it with an open mind, and if they like the music that they're hearing, follow me on Spotify, Apple Music, Instagram, Facebook. And you just, you know, if you like the sound, why not sit at a piano, try and play piano yourself, compose some music, tell your friends, and as we've already spoke, you can see that this album was challenging through it. But the very last track, so throughout all the hard times that I've gone through with this album, the very last track is called A Sense of Belonging.
Sure. And
that was really where I was struggling to get to. And that came about after I come back from America. Was it last year? Yeah, last year. When I did a performance in Atlanta, again promoting previews of this. When I first went on stage, so that would have been at the town hall with the school. And I was so nervous. I remember walking up the stage,
heavy
on the stairs, yeah, and just thinking, am I going to get through this? And I did, and it was just, like I say, the reaction was just, I'd never felt so kind of just welcomed and like credited for something I've done before, and that feeling like I just wanted to keep it going. But going back to the performance in America, that was I performed previously at the Berlin Philharmonic Hall, and I thought that would be nervous, but the one in America had some of my other inspirations in the audience, and they were like many award-winning pianists were sat there. So it was so like we knew it was going to be happening, and nothing can really prepare you for that. And that walk down the aisle to get to the piano, wow. And I just sat there thinking,
it's a grand.
It was proper. I think it was a choir actually, and I just remember thinking, these are my people. Like, these are everybody that, you know, has inspired me. People have told me that I've inspired them there. And, you know, one of my icons, Robin Spielberg, she had my spare tickets that I had because
really?
Some family was meant to meet me over. She'd come along. So she was in the audience, and I thought, right, I've never played to her before. She's got to be there. I was so nervous, but I managed to do it. I managed to pull it off. There's video. And then coming back from that weekend, because it was a weekend, it was a like kind of a all-star weekend where there's workshops and performances. But coming back from that, after all like the troubling times I've had before that, I was compelled to write this song, A Sense of Belonging, of the feeling that I'd felt with that gathering of people. And that kind of concluded the album, to kindly say, you know, I've gone through all this hard, troubling, challenging times, but now hopefully I've found a sense of belonging, and let's see what this kind of leads us into the next chapter, which will be album number 3. So it was the appropriate song at that time. Yeah, for sure, yeah. Thank you.
It's time for, if you want, you can talk about my piano playing.
Yes.
He's had some terrible times that we learned.
No, I mean not. No. So yes, Robert here is He's a very talented man himself with a lot of areas, but I've been his piano teacher for, how long has it been now? About
Around 18 months?
has it been that long?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's been around 18
Well,
months.
yeah, we did have a bit of a break, didn't we, due to COVID.
But I must say that to all the piano teachers we've had, your patience, your humility, and the way you go about things, punctuality, is some of your greatest assets.
Thank
You're
you.
never flustered.
Thank you very much.
You're never flustered. You know, whilst other people, they're always having excuses from time to time. You know, even when you had problems with your legs,
Yeah,
you was
I
popping
did,
along
yeah, I
and
did.
still coming to give you the
I
pianos.
know,
I
but
was
that's
missing
because
it.
but that's because you're a brilliant student, both you and your daughter.
Yeah.
That would be no problem.
But overall, what I want to just conclude is I want to thank you for everything that you've done for us with the piano.
You're more than welcome.
And I can see that the future is bright for you. Just continue on that road. You know?
I will. Thank you, sir.
very
Thank
much
you for having me.
It's a pleasure.
Cheers.